Persona 3 came out on July 13th, 2006. It was awesome and defined the storytelling, dungeon crawling, battle system, and modern stylized presentation that has continued to define Persona into its 5th installment. The Persona series as a whole has become very popular. When my parents bought me the first game in the late 90s, who would have known how big it would get? As of March 2024, Persona games have sold more than 19 million units worldwide. 10 million of that is from Persona 5 and its spin-offs alone. This popularity has raised the bar for quality in the series, but also the price, and has caused a bit of infamy. Almost a year later, after Persona 3's release, a new version came out called Persona 3 FES on April 19th, 2007. This first special edition made the social links easier to complete and added a new weapon synthesis option. It included a hard mode, costume changing in the Tartarus dungeon, and the biggest change, the Answer, a new chapter of the game that featured an additional 30 hours of gameplay. Then, not even 2 years later, in 2009, a PlayStation Portable version of the game was announced. Instead of a 3D environment, Persona 3 Portable's presentation was more like a visual novel. Animated cutscenes were removed, as well as character models in dialogue scenes. Despite this reduction, there were new features like new difficulties, part-time jobs, and a quick save feature. The biggest change was the addition of a female protagonist with different social links, including a new design and soundtrack. After gameplay and graphical advancements culminating in the success of Persona 5 and 4 getting the remaster treatment, Persona 3 looked dull by comparison, and that's where 2024's Persona 3 Reload comes in. It's a full remake of the game. It is an overhaul of the graphics, user interface, combat, and audio, making it feel like a whole new game. It introduces massive gameplay changes and additions, including new mechanics like link episodes for deeper exploration of party members' stories, and more upgrades to the Tartarus dungeon. There are also new combat improvements, new skills, a power attack system, and the ability to pass turns to other party members. As a 100-hour Persona 3 player and completionist of 4 and 5 as well, I was excited at the prospect to play the fully realized Persona 3 experience. I was one of the fans who wanted this. So did many others who, according to speculation, were the catalyst that got the ball rolling over at Atlus. Then the game came out, and I watched my joy and anticipation turn into a dread I couldn't burn with a catchy song. First of all, the game was the bare-bones Persona 3 experience. No female protagonist, no 30-hour The Answer chapter. Atlus said they had wanted to focus on the core story and make it the best they could. Then the game was $70 on Steam, with digital deluxe editions and a $200 IGIS edition. Those are PS5 new game AAA prices from a corrupt, greedy publisher like EA or Ubisoft. That's not something a smaller company like Atlus, who was inspired by the fans themselves, would do. I thought this was too much, and I ended up buying Granblue Fantasy Relink instead, a brand new game for the expected price of $60 that was amazingly fun and kept me busy for over 100 hours. I figured I would just come back to Persona 3 when the price was lower. Then they announced an expansion pass, and guess what was in it? All the stuff that wasn't in the base game. Apparently, the decision was made to add this content after the game's release, but the game was only a month out of release when they did. Were they lying to us? It reeks of dishonesty, like a Japanese fish-flavored rice cake. A lot of Persona fans felt like they were lied to, cheated, especially those who bought overpriced special editions that should have had the expansion pass included. By the way, the expansion pass is going to be an extra $30, and a wave of DLC probably running into 2025. And if you're a Persona 3 fan, you probably will have seen it before. Granblue Relink, mentioned earlier, has DLC coming out this year too, and some of it is paid, but a good chunk of it is free, including a raid and new characters. They released the full game first, while being transparent that DLC was coming in a few months. This was new content that was being added to the game, not old content they took out, had a bunch of meetings at HQ, and then added it back in later. You would have thought that Cygames of all companies would want to charge $70 with a year of paid DLC from the beginning to maximize profits, because 7 years is a long, costly time for development. But they knew that the fans needed to be happy first. From a business perspective, DLC is good for profits. But if your customers are pissed off at you, there will be consequences to your bottom line. Or at least, there should be. If I was to go and buy the game and expansion pass now because, oh well, that's just how it is, whatever, then they've won. Their plan has worked, and they will do it again with Persona 6. Backlash to an anti-consumer move like this should be easy. Simply don't buy it, but it isn't. Persona 3 is a really good game, and most will jump at the chance to play it. It's hard to delay gratification for a month because the price is too high, or to wait for a sale, or to boycott it altogether when it's something that you really want. But it's the only way to send these hard-headed corporate exploiters a message. Now, I'm not saying that you are an idiot because you bought the game and are getting a raw deal from Atlus right now. I'm a middle-aged adult who has been ripped off before and misled. So I was able to use past experience and willpower with a bit of jaded anger in order to not be manipulated. I know I am just as exploitable as any of us are, I just got lucky this time. It's hard out there as a fan of video games. You got predatory monetization, manipulative publishers, games that promote the special edition and all the DLC before you've even seen raw gameplay. Thieves have hijacked the hype train, and they will come to collect. So check for that fishy smell before you buy your ticket. This is Dan T of Twisted Metal Productions. Fool me once, Atlus. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, we'll just have to wait until this comes out.